Excuse me, in one word, what do you love about Providence Place?
Family.
Friends. Wellness.
Art.
Compassion.
Home. Laughter.
No matter what community means to you, you'll find it at Providence Place in Holyoke.
Coming up on this edition of Real to Real.
I'm Steve Kiltonick here at Springfield College, where over 50 years ago, Martin Luther King gave the commencement address to the class of '64, an event that is still talked about on campus.
I'm Kathy Harrington. The 2018 Annual Catholic Appeal wraps up. How your contributions are serving your neighbors in need.
And Mark Giza takes a look at the latest from Hollywood. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Real to Real. Hello and welcome to Real to Real. Bishop Mitchell Rosansky is saying thank you to the more than 17,000 families who donated to the 2018 Annual Catholic Appeal. The In Giving We Receive campaign officially closed on December 31st. Contributions continued to pour in until the very last minute, with the total surpassing $2,607,000. Kathy Harrington reports.
At the kickoff late last January, Bishop Mitchell Rosansky toured the Gray House in Springfield, one of the agencies supported in part by the Annual Catholic Appeal. Catholics across Western Massachusetts were being asked to contribute to the campaign. The money raised supports ministries, services, and community-based agencies such as the Gray House. Executive Director Teresa Liberti thanked the bishop for the grant, explaining that 5,000 people a year benefit from the services they receive.
With grants dwindling, this money is something that is very important to us and really allows us to continue our services and also to continue improving to meet the needs of our neighbors.
In addition to support for food pantries, appeal funding goes to programs that feed the homeless and the homebound.
We are trying to reach out and touch and help these people with the face and the hands and the heart of Jesus Christ.
During the 2018 campaign, the Chalice of Salvation celebrated a milestone: 60 years of broadcasting the weekly Mass. Produced by Catholic Communications, the program reaches thousands of Catholics across the 4 counties of the diocese each week.
Our major support is from the Annual Catholic Appeal, and we are most appreciative of that funding program. Without it, we could not do this.
A lot of our funds go toward education because sharing the faith, deepening one's faith, is very, very important. So for our Catholic schools and for our religious education programs, that's important.
Educating our youth about their faith, Annual Catholic Appeal grants are given to ministries and agencies that work directly with young people. That includes New Spirit, the Youth Center in Adams, Catholic Scouting, and Camp Holy Cross.
Everybody always says, like, the kids are the future of our church. I think the kids belong to our church right now. And if we don't have them now and we don't engage them, they're not going to be here in the future.
This summer, 7 new grant requests were submitted. Reviewing the applications, the allocation board members assessed each one to determine funding suitability.
When we give out the grants for the annual appeal, we look to those different organizations that really exemplify what the church is all about.
Among the new agencies is a familiar name, Rachel's Vineyard, a post-abortion healing ministry.
This is a pain that's so deep that you don't think there's a cure for it.
For the past 10 years, the National Shrine of Divine Mercy has hosted a retreat for women and men suffering post-abortion. Father Anthony Gromlich is the chaplain of the ministry.
Everything, it's totally changed my priesthood. It's taught me really about mercy and action, and seeing the message of divine mercy literally changed people's lives where they thought that there was no mercy, there was no hope for them. And when retreatants come on the Rachel's Vineyard and they find that hope, they find that healing, they find that joy again, it just means the world to be a part of that healing, a part of an instrument of God's mercy.
Another new grant recipient is Harmony House, a home for the terminally ill. Since opening its doors in the summer of 2017, 20 people have lived out their final days at Harmony House. Temporarily located in a 5-room ranch, a more suitable home with more bedrooms for the dying is undergoing renovations. All the money raised during the annual Catholic Appeal stays in the Diocese of Springfield. For Reel to Reel, I'm Kathy Harrington.
And the annual Catholic Appeal Office is hard at work preparing for the 2019 campaign launch in February. This year, the Diocese of Springfield is marking 60 years of the annual campaign drive. Another charitable effort will take place later this month. Since 1990, young people have been leading the charge and inspiring others to collect dollars and food during the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. Teaming up with local partners, these groups give 100% of donations to local charities, changing the nation's largest weekend of football into the largest weekend of caring. It's been deemed the Super Bowl of caring, and here to tell us more is Bruce Broyles, Western New England's ambassador for the program. Hello, Bruce. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for having me.
So the Super Bowl of Caring is a perfect tie-in this time of year with the biggest weekend of football coming up.
Yes, it is. And the reason for that is that this all started back in the Super Bowl of 1989 when a Eucharistic minister in the Presbyterian Church was having a Super Bowl party of sorts with the young people he was working with. And he stopped abruptly and he said to them, "We should say a prayer." And his prayer was, "Lord, even as we enjoy this Super Bowl football game, let us be mindful of those who have nothing, not even a bowl of soup to eat." And from that prayer has, over 29 years now in the Super Bowl of Caring, has helped to have young people motivate others to collect soup or food or cash of $140 million to date nationwide.
It definitely is the perfect way for young people to make the connection in caring for those who are less fortunate. Now, how can folks get involved?
Well, one way to get involved is to go up on the Super Bowl website, Super Bowl, SOUPER.org, and click on Get Involved. We'll have a whole raft of things to do, including registering your church group or school group with the Super Bowl of Caring, and in turn they provide all sorts of information to help your group conduct a really good Super Bowl campaign.
All right, Bruce Broyles, thanks so much, and we hope that you have a super successful Super Bowl.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
And if you would like more information on the Super Bowl of Caring, head on over to iobserve.org for a link. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Dan Dumas will have the latest news from the Diocese of Springfield. And Steve Kiltonic tells us of a little-known Western Massachusetts connection to civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. These stories and more are still to come on Reel to Reel.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passion's Brother Terrence Scanlon, your chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy days and join us Sunday morning. We welcome Father Gary Daly as our Mass presider and celebrate the second Sunday in Ordinary Time. The Chalice of Salvation, Sunday morning at 10 on 22 News, and coming up next on Fox 23 WXXA.
Excuse me, in one word, what do you love about Providence Place?
Family.
Friends. Wellness.
Art. Compassion. Home. Laughter.
No matter what community means to you, you'll find it at Providence Place in Holyoke.
St. Michael's Academy, where a dynamic curriculum meets enriched learning, where morals are instilled and confidence is boosted, where lasting relationships are nurtured, and safety is priority. St. Michael's Academy.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel-to-Reel News Briefs. A book launch and lecture featuring Marian faith and devotion was held at Elms College recently. Local author Marie Prue-Meter discussed her book, Many Faces, One Mary, discovering homegrown gardens and shrines of Our Lady. Sharon Roulier has more.
It took her 4 summers to photograph Mary gardens, including outdoor statues of the Virgin Mary. And it was more than 6 years in all before Marie Prue-Meter completed this 186-page book, a tribute to the Blessed Mother. The book contains 462 photos featuring 124 statues, as well as explanations of common titles of Mary and tips for starting a Mary garden.
Each flower has a meaning, and of course the rose is the most common flower associated with Mary. Flowers like the daisy means Mary's love. The marigold is Mary's gold. You know, they're all have to do with the virtues of Mary.
Chicopee resident Joseph Krizda's backyard shrine is featured on page 59.
I had different statues, and then the pedestal that Mary is on, I looking at, I says, that's Mary's pedestal. She was somewhere in the yard on that pedestal, not that statue, because my wife's grandmother would always have it in the yard. And that's like 50 years ago or longer. But there was, in a different spot, there was a rose bush in there. And I says, oh, wait a minute, that's where that belongs, up on my hill now that I got the flowers on. And there she is.
Guest speaker Father Charles DiMascola, a retired Turner's Falls priest, said the images, icons, and statues of Mary are very important to the Catholic faith and are often touch points of grace, sometimes overlooked by the faithful.
They have forgotten that we have a supernatural power available to us, and they are focusing on the human problems, and they are not going to their supernatural help. And we have that help in Mary. And I hope that today we can focus a little bit more on that and realize just how powerful Mary is in our own history, in our own day and age. Right here in the United States, there have been marvelous things that had happened with just a little bit of faith.
If you would like a copy of Marie Prue-Meter's book, you can contact her through email at marysgardenproject@gmail.com or call 413-592-4946.
Thanks, Sharon. It's nice to be thinking about warmer weather at this time of year. In other news, Immaculate Conception Parish in Indian Orchard celebrated the 40th anniversary of the papal election of St. John Paul II this past November. Carolee McGrath has more.
Parishioners of Immaculate Conception Parish in the Indian Orchard section of Springfield gathered for Mass in November to honor veterans in Polish history. Father Stanley Sokol is the pastor.
We are celebrating the 100th anniversary of Polish independence. In Europe, for example, they are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the end of the First World War. And the other one is the 40th anniversary of election of St. John Paul II to the papacy as a pope on October 16th of 1978. So these two, and of course we are also celebrating our Veterans Day.
For 123 years, from 1795 to 1918, Poland did not exist as a country. It was divided up and controlled by the Austrian, German, and Russian empires. After World War I, Poland was established as an independent state. At the end of Mass, teenagers from the parish processed up the aisles of the church with pictures of St. John Paul II at different stages of his life. Once on the altar, adults of the parish took turns reading different facts about St. John Paul II's life. St. John Paul II was elected Pope by the College of Cardinals in October of 1978.
The basic theme of focus was the faith. Be not afraid to believe. Be not afraid to practice what you believe. St. John Paul II was focusing on the youth. the children, the youth, and above all, the family.
After Mass, the entire congregation processed outside the church where the Polish and American flags were raised. People joined in the singing of both the Star-Spangled Banner and the Polish national anthem. Prayers were also offered for veterans and for men and women who are currently serving in the U.S. military. The Globakis raised 3 children and helped organize the event.
We grow up in Poland with very strong patriotic aspect and in our personality. So this is, and we are continuing, and it's very important for our children and grandchildren to keep the tradition, the culture, the history.
A history steeped in their Catholic faith and inspired by a saint who encouraged everyone to have courage, knowing that Christ is always with us.
He really believed that the young people have the strength to really grow and make a difference in the world.
The entire community was invited to attend the Mass and celebration which followed. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
Remember to keep informed on all the latest news in the Catholic Church locally and beyond. Log on to iobserve.org. There you can read articles written by our Catholic communications staff, as well as view archived episodes of Reel to Reel. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those are Reel to Reel news briefs.
What does Melissa McCarthy, Lady Gaga, and Spike Lee all have in common? They all had a terrific year at the movies. Here are my picks for the best films of 2018. Willem Dafoe becomes Vincent van Gogh right before our eyes in the new film At Eternity's Gate. He digs deep in his soul, and because of this, the film wins our attention.
Sometimes they say I'm mad, but a grain of madness is the best of art.
Spike Lee's film Black Klansman is a powerful ride. What happens when the tables turn? People take notice, like I did in this film. I still can't get it off my mind.
Hello, this is Ron Stallworth calling.
Who am I speaking with?
This is David Duke.
Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. That David Duke?
God, last time I checked. What can I do you for?
Also, early in this season, a film, A Quiet Place, was a film that was done with such style and surprise. Director and actor John Krasinski deserves an award for a film that made us not leave our seats for a moment. In the film Vice, Christian Bale put on weight and talked the talk as Dick Cheney. The film, of course, is based on stories people have told about Cheney's wild ride. True? Well, let's just say it was fun to watch.
Are you even more ruthless than you used to be?
Can You Ever Forgive Me was a film Melissa McCarthy really needed to boost her career. And Green Book was a story of friendship, love, and family. And then there was Cold War, the story of two people in love in 1950s Poland and France. But my favorite film of 2018 was A Star is Born. Director and star Bradley Cooper, along with the amazing performance of Lady Gaga, took us on a true journey of love. This is the 4th time the film has been made, and for me, the most powerful. Oscars all around.
No, I can't do that.
Here we go.
It's not funny. Jack.
Look at me. All you gotta do is trust me. That's all you gotta do.
And you can see my reviews, as well as read other movie reviews, provided by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops online at iobserve.org. That's iobserve.org. And now to the theater. Some exciting productions will be happening in the next few months right around here. In Hartford, at the Hartford Stage, The Engagement Party. At the Bushnell, the fantastic production from Broadway, Cats. And at Theater Works in Hartford, A Doll's House Part 2. Nora's story lives on. I'm Mark Giza for Real Culture, wishing you a fabulous weekend.
You are watching Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
On Monday, we will celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, but a little-known Western Massachusetts connection to the civil rights leader took place more than 50 years ago, right here in our own backyard. In 1964, Dr. King was asked to give the commencement speech at Springfield College. Despite threats from the FBI and some government leaders to block the visit, with then college president Glenn Old's support, Dr. King made the speech. Steve Kiltonick sat down recently with Springfield College journalism professor Marty Dobrow to discuss this historic event and its impact on the college.
Founded in 1885, Springfield College is a small, private coeducational school. Its mission is to educate the whole person in spirit, mind, and body for leadership and service to others. The college's claim to fame is that basketball was invented here by James Naismith, a graduate student. Marty Dobrow is a professor of communications whose main interests are sports, social justice, and the civil rights movement. Dobrow was just 7 when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, a day after he spoke these prophetic words.
And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
My mom's response was so haunting, hand to her heart, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I had never seen her like that. And it really imprinted on me that Martin Luther King was a monumentally important person. And I just always had a fascination.
While researching the college's commencements, Dobrow was shocked to find that in 1964, the speaker was Martin Luther King Jr.
To me, that was just astonishing, that right at the height of the civil rights movement, just a few months out from the March on Washington, a few months before he wins the Nobel Peace Prize, just a couple weeks before the signing of the Civil Rights Act, that at that seismic moment in history that he was on this campus.
Delving into the school archives, Dobrow discovered that hardly anything had been written on King's visit.
I became convinced that this was a huge moment, not just of local history or campus history, but really of American history.
At UMass, Dobrow came across 6 pages of FBI file documents that had become unredacted.
What became clear is that there was a concerted effort to get Dr. King disinvited from this gig. There was pressure that was brought to bear on the Springfield College president, Glenn Olds.
Olds was a minister, pacifist, and conscientious objector during World War II.
He was a visionary leader in a lot of ways, brilliant man, great speaker, and I think that he was really drawn to Dr. King because of the pacifism.
Olds reached out to King in February of *64. The commencement was in June.
Certainly some people were overjoyed about it, recognized him as an eloquent spokesperson, as a national hero, a big moment for the college. But equally, there were people who were opposed to this.
The FBI attempted to block King from speaking at Springfield and discredit him through secretive FBI wiretaps, which uncovered some salacious information on King's private life.
The relationship that the director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, had with Martin Luther King was a toxic one.
The FBI recruited Massachusetts Senator Leverett Saltonstall to lean on Olds to get him to turn his back on King and save the college from, quote, a great embarrassment. In April, Hoover's deputy played the scratchy audio recordings for Olds. His response was, "In my America, the accused gets to meet the accuser." Despite significant pressure from prominent shareholders and benefactors of the college as well, in his moment of truth, Olds refused to cave in.
Dr. Olds, in some ways, is a hero of this story because he did stand tall, but he also wavered. This was not something that he immediately said, we need to do the right thing. He ultimately came to that.
3 days before the commencement, King traveled to St. Augustine, Florida, to draw attention to the city's segregation policies.
Found it to be quite a violent and frightening place. Said at one point that it was the most lawless city that he had ever visited.
At the Munson Motor Lodge, King was arrested for violating the state's unwanted guest law. On June 12th, King was thrown into the St. Johns County Jail with Reverend Ralph Abernathy. Olds told authorities he would record King's commencement speech in jail if King wasn't released, and then they would have to deal with the publicity. On June 13th, King posted a $900 bail and was freed. King flew into Bradley Field on Sunday, June 14th, with his wife Coretta Scott King and his personal assistant Bernard Lee. Arriving to bomb-sniffing dogs, King was given a brief tour of the campus, held a press conference, and had lunch with the administration. The commencement was held in the afternoon at Memorial Fieldhouse, a converted Quonset hut. President Olds introduced King to a packed house of over 3,200, praising King for giving voice to the sad silence of the deserving but dispossessed.
It is a pleasure to present a man as our speaker who has given a new face to freedom and a new form to the ancient promise that all men created in God's image shall be truly free.
During his 30-minute speech, King referenced Jesus, St. Thomas Aquinas, and Gandhi, spoke about segregation, calling it the Negro's burden and America's shame, pacifism, saying the time is always right to do right, and proclaiming we must all learn to live together as brothers or we will all perish together as fools.
I believe by standing up with determination against an unjust system, resisting it with all of one's might, all of the soul force that one can muster, yet not stooping to hatred and violence in the process, the individual has the strongest force alive in the world.
After the speech, King received an honorary Doctorate of Divinity degree with other distinguished guests. Dobrow said many of the students he spoke to were inspired and transformed by King and his eloquent words.
Students passing through the campus union are reminded of King's speech by this banner, which depicts some of the events surrounding that visit. According to Dobrow, the speech remains one of the pivotal and defining moments in the college's history.
This event is certainly celebrated down in the Springfield College Museum, but I would really advocate for shouting this from the hills, for making this an iconic moment at Springfield College. It is a powerful, powerful story. It's a great lesson to our current student. To me, it's the greatest day in the college's history.
Dobrow's mission is to have the college commemorate a statue on campus, recognizing the commencement. In 2006, Dobrow spoke to Olds when the former president was in his early 80s.
I think that this was a real high point in his life, one that he was very proud of.
Dobrow hopes that we learn from the forces of history, which brought Glenn Olds and Martin Luther King together for one brief, shining moment in 1964.
It's just so important that we really hold fast to our past and grow from it.
For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
To hear the full 32-minute audio recording of Dr. King's Springfield College commencement speech, head over to iobserve.org and click on the link to the Springfield College archives. And for this week, that's Real to Real. And don't forget, Saturday, February 2nd will be Catholic Youth Ministry Night at the Springfield Thunderbirds. Join area churches and schools for a family fun night out. Tickets are $12 and can be ordered online by Monday, January 28th. We have a link at iobserve.org. Remember, you can find updates anytime as well as information on news on the Catholic Church at iobserve.org. That's iobserve.org, your one accurate source of news on the Catholic Church. We also update our Facebook daily with news of what our reporters are working on. Check us out and friend us at Catholic Communications. Next week, I will be stepping aside as we have a student host from Holyoke's Mater Dolorosa School helping us to kick off Catholic Schools Week right here on Real to Real, your window on the world around you.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.